Hello, welcome to the Palermo Pamphlet for October 25th, 2018. And today I'm unboxing the Azure Sphere IoT device. And so I'll show you a little bit more about the command line later, but let's get into the box. So we have our MT3620 here, and I've already opened it one time, but let me just show you what's in it. We have the information paper. I've already taken out the micro USB cable and the device, and that's all that comes in it. Okay, so here's the device, and it has the GPIO pins, and there's going to be hats that fit on here, two Wi-Fi antennas, a set of LEDs for indicators here, and then indicators for LED here, power, Wi-Fi, if it's running, if a program, these are special, then micro USB, 3 input buttons. Okay, and on the back it has these little feet so that it can just sit on the surface. This is a holder for a watch battery, so that's kind of cool. Presumably it can run off of a little disk battery. So let's plug it in. And I've already done a program for this. The SDK goes into Visual Studio 2017, and you have to write C++. So there's a blinking sample, and you're essentially controlling an LED indicator. And if I press the button here, then it changes the speed. And if I press the button again, and so 3 levels of pressing the button. And that's essentially what this does. But this code is meant to connect over Wi-Fi, receive information from the Azure IoT Hub, communicate through GPIO devices to something else, and then communicate back over Wi-Fi to Azure IoT Hub. This has a serial number. Azure knows about it, and it's a very secure subset Linux kernel lockdown where it's not like a wide open Raspberry Pi, but it can only do specific things, and that's why the play for Microsoft is security. So let me just set this to the side, and let me show you a little bit about how it's registered here. So command line, you download the SDK, and then you have the Azure Sphere. You have to log in with your Azure AD, Office 365 account, register it as a tenant. And so I've done that here. And you essentially have to name and claim your device, and every device has a serial number. And so you go through that command line. And then you have to, there's a claim device, AZ Sphere device claim. You go through that. Your device has a unique number, and you register it with Microsoft. And every one of these devices that Microsoft produces, it knows about. So if one of them gets compromised or lost, Microsoft knows where it is, and so that's another part of the security play. And you can turn off devices and whatnot, even if you lose it or if it gets compromised or if it looks suspicious, you can turn it off. And then command line, you tell it, and it's connected to by USB while we're doing this. And we connect it to Wi-Fi and essentially give it a network, and then it's all ready to go. And then we can open up Visual Studio and write a little bit of C++ code. And then up in Azure, you write your .NET code interfacing with Azure IoT Hub. And so most of the bulk of your code for the logic around this would be in C# and .NET. But then you have just a touch of C++ that's on the Azure Sphere that is essentially interfacing with your devices. So that, my friends, is the Azure Sphere. And that was our unboxing and a little bit about news in the industry. We have an upcoming Azure DevOps user group meeting that I'll pop up on the screen here with Henry Bean on DevSecOps security in the DevOps workflow. And that's November 13th, Tuesday, virtually over there. You can go to meetup.com, search for the Azure DevOps user group, and log into that group. And that'll be an exciting presentation. Also, a bit of news that you might have heard of because it was a big splash. The last hurdle to the acquisition of GitHub by Microsoft has been cleared by the EU Commission. So essentially, Microsoft has acquired GitHub, and there it is. Want to also highlight one of the services that we're doing a lot of lately, and that is continuous delivery and DevOps implementations here at my company, ClearMeasure. And whether it's a team that you're on that has no automation whatsoever, or whether you've tried to do automated deployments, or whether you have a sophisticated environment and just need some help. We really, really enjoy helping teams be world class and drive a short cycle time, increase productivity, and decrease bugs and issues by increasing quality, and setting up a completely automated soup to nuts DevOps pipeline with any number of products. Azure DevOps services, certainly Octopus Deploy, Redgate tools, JetBrains TeamCity, Resharper static code analysis. Are just some of the tools that are our favorites to implement. So you can go over to clear-measure.com and check it out. And if you liked if you listen to the Azure DevOps podcast, we have Lori Lampkin that was interviewed, and that podcast is out this week. She was the director of program management for TFS, Visual Studio Online, VSTS, and leading it up into Azure DevOps. She recently just moved to a different role, but that's 16 years that she was in the space. And so that was just a great interview. You can go to azuredevops.show to watch that listen to that podcast, or iTunes or Google Play, your favorite podcast directory. So this has been the Palermo Pamphlet. The highlight was Azure Sphere. And so send me any comments if you have any more questions about this. And until next time, happy coding.